Hi writers, I'm PixyStix, co-municipal liaison. Oh god, what did I say there? Greetings from the largest metropolis in the southeast, except for Miami. Miami doesn't count because Miami's in Florida, and Florida's in the southeast geographically, but I mean it's Florida. God. You know, I hate doing intros, so let's just go to the PowerPoint. So I did have a point in there somewhere, and that is I live in Atlanta. One of the nice things about being in a city during NaNoWriMo is the write-ins. Writers get together, do a bunch of writing of course, and also discuss their stories, work through some problems, and get to know each other face to face. I host tons of them because I'm an ML. Just because you're not an ML though doesn't mean you can't as well. They're a lot of fun, and I find that I get a lot more work done. So this is a guide to hosting your first write-in. I have divided this into two separate videos. The first video is going to cover what to do before the event. That means picking out when and where you'd like your event to be and also announcing it to everybody. The second video is going to cover what to do the day of the event. That is going to include what to bring with you, how to set up your space, and also dealing with situations during your write-in. But for today, we're just going to discuss the stuff to do beforehand. So let's start with time and location. So one of the first things you want to take into consideration when deciding where to host is how easy it is to get to. If it's right off a highway, if it's on a major artery, if it's going to be easy to find. Especially if you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, try to keep it more centralized so more people will come to it. You might also want to take into consideration if public transportation is nearby it. If people can take a bus or a train to it, then it doesn't matter so much where it is because it's still easy to get to even if they're on the other side of town. Also consider how big the location is. A lot of coffee shops. It's great supporting a local coffee shop, but a lot of them are very small and you don't know how many people are going to show up. In my region, our write-ins tend to have between probably about 2 and 15 people, which is a pretty big range, and that can change not just by time or when in the week it is, but week by week. I'll have write-ins where sometimes 2 people will show up and sometimes 10 people will show up. So it needs to accommodate a pretty good size group. You also want to take into consideration the atmosphere. Chuck E. Cheese is not a good place to do writing. Your library where people are shushing you is not a good place either because the group does tend to get a little bit rowdy. So just keep those in mind when you're deciding where you want to start. So you do also want to take into account the amenities that the facility has. The first, of course, being food and beverage, coffee and snacks, or other beverages, of course. You're going to be there for 2 to 3 hours or up to 6 hours, depending on your write-in. So you want to make sure that you are well fed and watered. Huge one is power outlets. Some of us are using laptops that haven't had a battery since, Obama took office. So you always want to make sure that there are power outlets available, and don't assume that they are available. You want to scout in advance and make sure that they have some. A lot of times they're hiding under the tables, but sometimes they don't have any at all. A lot of restaurants do not, so make sure you check for that. Wi-Fi is a big one, of course. We can survive without Wi-Fi. We have our phones, but everybody likes to have it. It's good to at least know whether they have it or not. And then you want to know if the facility is family friendly. It doesn't have to be, but you do need to state if it's a bar. Because some of the writers are under 21 and some of them are way under 21 and are going to be with their parents or are not going to be with their parents, even worse. So, it's not like you're going to be going to a strip club, but if you are going to a bar, you want to state that so there are no angry parents. So one thing I cannot stress enough is don't go to a place if they don't want you there. And remember that most establishments cannot tell you that they don't want you there, so you have to use a bit of common sense here. Remember that we are disruptive. We do get rowdy. So again, you have to be careful with quiet places. We do take up a lot of space. So, you know, that little local coffee shop, like I said, is great, but if it only has 6 seats at it, we're too big for it, and we're going to hurt their business because, you know, they expect people to come up repeatedly for stuff if they're going to be sitting, and that won't necessarily happen with a group that's sitting as long as us. Also beware of high volume places. You know, if it's a place where they do a lot of turnover, they're going to expect you to get in and out quickly so they can get another table in. They're going to lose money if there's a wait because you're sitting there for too long. Especially hurt is going to be your servers. Remember, they don't get paid regular. They don't get paychecks. So if you're taking up a server's an entire section, and most of the people in your party are not ordering food or are not getting, you know, something that would be a typical check for them, and you're sitting there 4 times longer than the usual group, your server's going to hate you, and she's not going to be able to pay her rent that month. So please don't be mean to servers. Don't go to places where, you know, they're expecting to get a lot more than what you're going to give them. And don't forget, we are a little bit weird looking, not, you know, I might be a little bit weird looking, but I just mean it's kind of a strange group. We don't know how many people are coming in. We're taking up a lot of space with our computers and everything. It's just kind of weird, and we're going to be asking, put us by the power outlet. So unless it's a special occasion, be careful. Don't go to normal restaurants, I would say, is the worst thing to do. You know, Fridays is not going to like you. So be respectful of the establishment you want to go to. If they don't want you there, do not go there. Now, chain coffee shops do tend to be the most popular places to go. Places like Starbucks or Panera. I guess so, cafes as well. Here we've got Atlanta Bread Company. Those are all good places to go. But don't feel like you're limited to places like that. One of my favorite places to go is fast food restaurants. It's cheaper, yay! And normally there's plenty of space. Most places do have Wi-Fi, and you know, nobody really cares what you do there. So I'm a big fan of Dunkin' Donuts. And I've definitely done Taco Bell in the past, and even Crystal's. As much as I keep saying no to libraries, there is an exception with libraries, and that's that a lot of them have private spaces that you can use for the evening, you know, little like meeting rooms and stuff like that. You just have to talk to the librarian, and they may or may not be free. Obviously, you probably don't want to do it if they're not, but a lot of times it's because we're writing, and librarians love writers. They like to host things like this. The mall, it sounds crazy, but malls or anywhere where there's a food court, those are good places. It does get a little bit loud, but we do have headphones, and it's, you know, if you state that, then, you know, people will come prepared for it. Grocery stores, depending on the grocery store, some of them have little cafes in them. If you think about, like, I always think of Target, the little odd front thing that Target has is a good place as well, and most of them also have Wi-Fi now. You can always do outside venues like parks. You're not going to have all of the amenities that you'd have elsewhere, so you do need to state this, but it can be a nice change of pace. If you're a college student, you've got tons of meeting places there. You know, your quad or your dining hall within those hours, your student meeting areas. You've got all kinds of places to do. You can host in your own home. Just make sure you warn people if there's allergy issues like pets or smokers, stuff like that. And, you know, there's tons of other places you can host at. One of Atlanta's big write-ins every year is at the IKEA. They have a food court there. We hang out there for about an hour, and then we go around the IKEA, and it's a big photo op, and everybody has a good time there. So don't limit yourself to coffee shops. So now you can have the write-in whenever you want to. Obviously, the posts 9 to 5 times, 6 to 8 in the evening, tend to be the most popular. But whenever you want to, ask around. You might have some night owls that want to do late stuff, or some people who don't work in the morning that want to do stuff. So it's totally up to you. You do want to plan for a 2 to 3 hour window. You can go longer than that. Anything shorter than that is not going to be very productive, most likely. And you do want to look at that extended window. You will have people that arrive early. You'll have people who stay late. So make sure you schedule so you're not conflicting with the business at all. On that note, I would not schedule the last hour that a business is opened. The employees are trying to clean and get out of there. They have lives outside of their jobs, so, you know, if a place closes at 9, don't schedule the write-in past 8 so the employees have their space to do what they need to get out of there. Also be mindful of other write-ins that have already been scheduled. You don't want to conflict with them. If you're on opposite sides of town, it's not a big deal, but you know, if you're 2 blocks away from each other, you don't want to overlap. That's a little rude. So you have the when and the where for your write-in. Now it's time to announce it. Your first step is going to be to go to your regional forums. On your forum, there's probably going to be a thread from your MLs where you can post the info for your write-in. This is a good time to check the dates and locations of the other write-ins that have already been posted to make sure you're not overlapping. Most likely there's also going to be some guidelines that your MLs have set out for how they want your write-in to be posted. So make sure you follow those. They probably have a Google Calendar or something to that nature that they'll have everything posted on. Once you get that done though, don't forget the social media. Your region probably has Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that now. It's always a good idea to post it in as many places as possible so you get a lot of visibility for it. So this is what you can expect to post on your forums. This is the Atlanta template, and it's modeled after most other templates. So the first thing is dates. You'll notice that I have it optionally pluralized. If you are going to be hosting it weekly, you want to put down each date individually. Things get a little weird at Thanksgiving, so you might not be doing it that week. So I would list every single date individually instead of saying every Wednesday or something like that. The time, of course, the location and the address. Any special directions, if your place is weird to get to, if you have to park somewhere weird, whatever, list that here. And then additional notes. Additional notes would be Wi-Fi, power, stuff like that. Any special deals that they have going on. Anything you think would encourage people to come. So that's what you want in it. And next up, I'm just going to have a little sample post so you can see one that I did last year, so you have something to model it after. So that's it for the first part of this video. Stay tuned and I'll shortly have up the second part of the video, what to do on the big day. And as always, happy writing from Nano Atlanta.